Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is another episode of reviewing NHL teams off-season so far. As today, well, we're doing my favorite team in the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm not going easy on this team, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be going hardcore on this team's off-season, because I gotta say, Oilers probably had one of the worst off seasons, to say the least, out of most teams in the NHL so far. Like, you know, looking at what they added to what they lost, it's pretty damn bad. You know, like we added a lot to this team. There's a lot of new depth pieces to this team, but you know, the quality of players that we lost, and Adam Larsson, you know, Mike Smith's dumb contract, you know, giving Darnell Nurse the hugest contract ever, and many more dumb stuff that Ken Holland did, is just way too much stuff to add up. But before we get into this video, I'd like to just say, if you're new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button and hit that like button as well. That'll be very much appreciated, boys. So, let's get into this one, because we already talked about this a while ago. If you haven't watched my video already, I would definitely go and check out, you know, my initial reaction of the Edmonton Oilers offseason, because I really didn't like it. I didn't really like what we did in free agency. I didn't like how we traded away Ethan Barrie. You know, I didn't like a lot of the stuff the Edmonton Oilers did throughout this offseason. So let's just begin it all off with the trades, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about here with the trades. Now, first of all, here's the dumbest one of them all, where we sent Caleb Jones and a 2022 conditional third-round pick for Duncan Keith and Tim Soderlund. That's all I have to say for that deal, because this deal hurts my mind to talk about. It legit does. When I look at this deal and see what we gave up for Mr. Duncan Keith, hurts my brain so damn much, because Duncan Keith is nowhere near worth that. This is a cap dump, and was supposed to be a cap dump, but we did not make it a cap dump. We made it look like we were trading for a player that was actually a respectable player, which he is not. Duncan Keith is not going to be a good defenseman moving forward for the Edmonton Oilers, and I don't care what you guys say. If you're an Oilers fan believing that Keith will be a good top four defenseman, he will not. He's not going to be a very good top four defenseman. If he does, awesome. If he becomes a top four defenseman, that's awesome. But, you know, looking at Duncan Keith, he is not the most beautiful defenseman. This is a guy who's 38 years old, and we're having to now pay for the next 2 years at $5.5 million. I don't care if we're having to pay him, you know, 2.1, you know, ownership-wise or whatever. This is the cap hit of our team, and we're having to pay him $5.5 million of that cap hit for the next 2 years, which it hurts me to say that. And he has not been a good defenseman over the past couple of years. He's been going downhill over the past couple of years. His offensive game hasn't been that bad. You know, that's been maintaining, but, you know, from what it looks like, it's most likely going to be going down this year, and his defensive game has been bad. Has not been good over the past couple of years. He has not been good since, you know, this team has been deep into the playoffs back in 2015. It's not a good move. And automatically, right off the get-go, I will tell you guys that this team automatically gets an F just because of this move and the other moves that they did, because this deal was a horrible deal. I don't want to see Ken Holland make any more trades now just because of this move. And then also, this one was a pretty rough one as well, where we practically traded Jesper Wallstedt basically for, you know, a first and a third, which was nice that we got a deeper pick, which Luka Musenberger doesn't look that bad. I heard he might be actually making it to the German Olympic team, which if he does, you know, we get to see him a little bit more, and that's pretty exciting as an Oilers fan. But we lose out on Jesper Wallstedt, which really does suck, because I've been hearing he's been putting up some really, really good numbers. Even, you know, last year he put up some really good numbers. Now, he did have some behavioral issues, and, you know, that with Ken Holland, that's a big issue he looks into, is how well they will behave with the team. The guy's young, though, and why don't we take a stab when we have never, ever have had a starting goalie since, what, Grant Fuhr? We've had Dwayne Rolison and now Mike Smith. We are relying on these old guys to be our starting goalies when we had a chance to go after the young Jesper Wallstedt. I know I've been kind of back and forth on this one as well, because I didn't want to just fill myself with so much toxicity mentally and make this deal look like it was so bad, but it was. Jesper Wallstedt, losing out on him sucks. because we have never had a competent starting goalie since Grant Fuhr, and that's saying a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We've had, one off seasons from Tommy Salo, and most people don't even know who Tommy Salo is. We've had one off seasons from Cam Talbot. We've had one off seasons from Dwayne Rollison, and just countless more. I don't know how many times we're going to be passing up on a goalie like a Jesper Wallstedt, and I know we have Kunavala, but he's still a decent amount of the ways out and not as highly touted as Jesper Wallstedt, and it's a rough one. It really is a rough one to lose out on a goalie like a Jesper Wallstedt when we've been a cesspool of garbage for goaltending over the past couple of years. Then the move where we trade away Ethan Bear for Warren Foegele. Oh, I don't even know how to talk about these deals, man, but say every damn time that this was horrible. And a lot of people will probably be coming back, oh, Ethan Bear wasn't that good. He was. Ethan Bear was a very good right-handed defenseman, and there's not very many times that we could find right-handed defensemen. I remember when, we didn't have any right-handed defensemen, and how many Oilers fans were complaining about the fact that we didn't have a right-handed defenseman. Now we do. We have an oversupply of it, and we yet trade away one of our youngest defensemen who was looking very bright in Ethan Bear for Warren Foegele, who is at best a third liner. Which, I'm not complaining about. Warren Foegele, he signed a decent contract. He'll be a good third liner. But that's it. Maybe a second liner, but most likely he'll be a third liner. Ethan Bear played very good on the top four for the Edmonton Oilers. Played very good alongside of Darnell Nurse. And now we have to deal with Tyson Barrie for the next few years, which absolutely hurts for me to say. But Ethan Bear, losing out on him, a very young right-handed defenseman, is a big loss for the Edmonton Oilers. And all these deals, just a big fat F. Big fat F. Like, the fattest F you could ever possibly make is what I give for all those deals. The draft team was Xavier Bogault wasn't too bad. Luka Musenberger's Mateo Petrov doesn't look too bad, but definitely not the most special draft in the world. We'll have to see how well these other guys turn out to be. COVID kind of lowered their years, so we're able to see a lot of these guys. Maximus Wanner is a pretty funny name though, so that was a pretty funny pick. But let's get on to free agency signings, because this was probably one of the busiest part of the offseason for Mr. Ken Holland, where he did make a lot of big moves, a lot of them. First up was getting Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back to an 8-year, $5.125 million deal, which I think is honestly an absolute steal, and probably one of the only positives out of this offseason that we did is that we got Nuge forever, basically. And also to another very nice contract. Nuge has been, a very nice producer, and for people saying that he did have a down year, yes, but his defensive numbers have been growing, and the wingers that he had, he was playing with Shore and Cassian in the playoffs there in that overtime, which was, that hurts to say. That hurts to say so much. I'm in so much pain where, basically talking about this team makes me not excited about this upcoming season for the OGRs, because I feel like I'm going to be in constant pain talking about this damn team when I have to watch their games. And then we signed Mike Smith to a 2-year, $2.0 million deal, which this is another mind-boggling move. Why sign him to 2 years? I know that he, had a great year and that he deserves a contract, but why for 2 years? That makes no sense. How old is Mike Smith now? 39? 39. Why? Why sign this old guy to a 2-year deal at $2.2 million? It should have been a 1-year deal. Should have been a 1-year deal. I know he had a fantastic season, but look at the year before. Look at the year before that. He has not been a good goalie over the past few years. He has not. And this year could have been a one-off year. And now we're going to be relying on him to be our starting goalie and maybe Stalock be our backup. Man, I don't know, what the Oilers are necessarily doing here. But I don't like the 2-year deal on Mike Smith. I thought it was too much. I think a 1-year deal is perfect for Smith, because if he has a really bad down year this year, then we're ending up having to pay him $2.2 million of our cap, which we don't got a lot of cap right now. I think it's just dumb. I did not like the move. Moving on. Derek Ryan, I like that deal. 2 years at $1.25 million. I thought that was well worth it for a guy that played for Calgary. Nice defensive guy, or not defensively. He's a centerman who plays defensively very well. Also brings a decent offensive game as well. I think he's going to be a great third, fourth liner for the Edmonton Oilers. Cody Ceci, well, of course, we replaced Adam Larsson with him. We lost him to Seattle, of course, which we didn't lose a whole lot of players. We lost Dmitry Kulikov, Kara, and then, of course, Larsson as well. But Larsson was a huge hit to the team. I thought he was a great defensive defenseman throughout this year. And we replaced him with Cody Ceci and locked him up for 4 years. Just blow my mind up already, please. Just, please, kill me now. Like, this deal, why lock up a guy that was supposed to be, replacement for Larsson for 4 years? Like, this was a dumb one move. Like, every time I'm looking at one of these deals, why? Why? Tyson Barrie, 3 years at 4.5. Why? When we have Evan Bouchard coming up the pipeline. I know that there's not a lot out there, but we had Ethan Bear. Why couldn't you go with a defensive core of, Bouchard, Ceci, and Bear? That would have been a lot better than signing Tyson Barrie. And a lot of people were like, oh, he was great offensively. Yes, he was awesome offensively. But when we're talking about Evan Bouchard, Bear, Nurse, and many more, and also Keith now, we don't got a lot of guys that played defensively. Who's going to be a guy that plays defensively for this team? Ceci? He's not a bad defensive defenseman, but he's not the greatest. Who else is going to be playing defensively? Nurse. Nurse was a liability defensively last year. Barrie, he was nowhere to be found defensively last year. Bouchard was okay, but we don't got a lot of good defensemen on this team that play a good, solid defensive game, which really worries me that we're going to have to outscore teams every single game, which we can. There's no doubt about that. This Oilers team looked like they could outscore every team, but the fact that the defensive core looks like that is just really rough. Zach Hyman, he signed a next contract, of course. Zach Hyman signed a 7-year, $5.5 million deal, which we were almost going to get him into an 8-year deal, but thank God Dubas was being a dumbass and didn't want to take an extra pick and decided to lose him for free. We got Zach Hyman to a 7-year, $5.5 million deal, which I love. Now, I'd like to just say thank you once again to Jfresh. His link will be down in the description below. And this is Zach Hyman's analytics, which I'm pretty excited about having Zach Hyman up on that top line alongside of McDavid, or if he's going to be playing alongside of Leon Draisaitl. This is a really exciting player moving forward. A guy that can play on the PK for us. A guy that really brings some good offensive abilities. He scores a lot. He's good at assisting. He's just good at doing everything. He's a pesky player, and I'm going to enjoy it. The problem is, 7 years is a lot. It's a very long contract. And if Zach Hyman, this contract will be bringing him until he's 36 years of age. This team is going to be a very, very old team once we get into the later halves of a lot of these contracts with Hyman and Nuge and Nurse. A lot of these guys are going to be pretty up there in age, which kind of concerns me as an Oilers fan. And then Warren Foegele do a 3-year, $2.75 million deal, which I thought was well worth it. Not a bad deal for a third liner like Foegele. And then the Darnell Nurse move, $9.25 million for the next 8 years for Darnell Nurse, which, like I said in the video, it could be worth it, but right now it's not. Darnell Nurse has been great offensively, but he got carried a lot by McDavid this past year, and his defensive numbers weren't there. I don't think he's a top 2 defenseman just yet. We'll have to see in the later on years if he's really worth this amount of money, but I have a feeling like it's going to be a no. I have a feeling like he's not going to be worth that amount of money, and lots of signings to talk about, and we have finally finished talking about every single signing because I really don't want to talk about that Darnell Nurse one. I don't think it's the greatest deal in the world. If he pans out, awesome, but I mean, that contract's going to hurt us, I feel, in the later on years if he doesn't pan out to be a very good defenseman. But moving into this upcoming season, you're definitely not going to be seeing Turse there. McLeod will be playing on that third line. But looking at this team, doesn't look that bad. Of course, we still need to sign Yamamoto with the very little money that we have. But the defense is what really concerns me moving forward. And then you also look at the goaltending. We're going with the Smith and Koskinen in tandem again, which is not a very beautiful tandem once again. So honestly, like I said, I'm giving this team a big fat F. I did not like the way that they handled this offseason, especially with the salary cap that we had. We added Keith, Ceci, Barrie. Well, we didn't add Barrie. We re-signed him. And then we also had Zach Hyman and Foegele. I thought this team got a lot worse. Our defensive core got a lot worse than, what it was last year. If Bouchard really jumps up, then it makes it, a little bit better. But that's asking for a lot of Evan Bouchard to jump up massively and play really good. So there's a lot of big questions moving forward here with the Edmonton Oilers. I'm not a big fan of it. And yeah, tell me guys in the comment section below what you guys thought of this Edmonton Oilers offseason. I'm giving it an F. I'm not very impressed with their offseason. I'm not very happy, and I don't know what's really to come with this team. And I'm excited to see some preseason hockey because, I mean, man, I'm dying for some damn hockey, and it's going to be a lot of complaining most likely for me this upcoming season when I watch these games during the OGRs. But for right now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Tell me, guys, in the comment section below what grade you would give the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys all later. Adios, amigos.